afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Global Atheist News Roundup, dateline 10th of June 2023. This week's headlines. Yunnan protest. A mosque closure sees clashes with Chinese security forces. Transgender Indonesian Muslims are trying to secure their future. Virgin Mary apparitions are not always real, says the Pope. Jesus Army abuse is worse than anybody realized. Utah primary schools ban the Bible for vulgarity and violence. A Utah school district that banned the Bible considers removing the Book of Mormon. The Satanic Temple. Think you know about Satanists? Religious US broadcaster Pat Robertson dies at 93. A school play in Saudi Arabia features children being encouraged to challenge traditional norms related to the Hijab and Abaya. Atheism UK, in conjunction with the Origins Project, held an event in London. Protesters have clashed with large numbers of police over the planned demolition of a mosque's dome in a largely Muslim town in Yunnan, China. Social media videos showed crowds outside the 13th century Najaya Mosque in Nagu town on Saturday. Scuffles broke out between police and locals who were hemmed in by hundreds of armed officers. Yunnan is an ethnically diverse province in southern China with a significant Muslim population. China is officially atheist, and the government says it allows religious freedom. But observers say there has been an increased crackdown on organized religion in recent years, with Beijing seeking greater control. In Nagu, the Najaya Mosque had been a key landmark and in recent years had expanded with a new domed roof, as well as a number of minarets. However, a 2020 court judgment ruled the additions illegal and ordered them to be removed. Recent actions to carry out that order appear to have sparked the demonstrations. Videos of Saturday's protests, verified by the BBC, show lines of police blocking entry to the mosque and a group of men attempting to force their way in, with some throwing rocks at police. The future of Indonesia's only Islamic community centre for transgender women is in jeopardy after its leader, Shinta Ratri, died in February, and the government says it cannot support it. There are 63 trans women who regularly attend the Al-Fatah Community Centre, which provides a space for them to pray, learn the Quran, learn skills, or simply socialise without being judged for who they are. Rini Kaleng is one of them. After waking up each morning, she puts on makeup and a favourite black wig before grabbing a handbag and heading into the streets of the historic city of Yogyakarta to busk. She walks for miles and miles, playing music from her Bluetooth speaker and singing to earn a living. But on Sundays, her journey ends with an afternoon visit to Al-Fatah to study the Quran. It's a safe place where we can play, says Ms. Rini, who has been going since 2014. As a child, she had always felt more comfortable playing with girls instead of boys. She would dress up as a girl, play with kitchen toys, and pretend to be a bride with her friends. After coming out as a trans woman, her parents and 9 older siblings all accepted her identity. Apparitions of the Virgin Mary are not always real, Pope Francis has said, in what appears to be an indirect reference to her woman who drew thousands of pilgrims to a town near Rome to pray before a statue that she claimed shed tears of blood. "Don't look there," the pontiff said during an interview with Rai 1 on Sunday when asked about apparitions of the Virgin Mary. "There are images of the Madonna that are real, but the Madonna has never drawn attention to herself," he said. "I like to see her with her finger pointing up to Jesus. When Marian devotion is too self-centered, it's not good, both in the devotion and in the people who carry it forward." The interview was aired a few days after residents in Trevignano called on Francis to intervene against Maria Giuseppe Scarpulla, who has been nicknamed the Saint and Clairvoyant. For 5 years, she has organized monthly ceremonies in a park overlooking Lake Bracciano, where a statue of the Virgin Mary sits in a glass case. A lawyer representing more than 60 former members of the Jesus Army has claimed that the severity of abuse was a lot worse than anyone realized. Solicitor Kathleen Hallisey said her cases included the rape of children and showed that the leadership was aware but did nothing. The now defunct Northamptonshire-based sect has started paying damages. The Jesus Fellowship Community Trust, JFCT, said victims would also be entitled to a written apology. The Christian group was formed in 1969 and grew rapidly under its founder, the firebrand preacher Noel Stanton, who recruited during rallies. Over the next 40 years, some 3,500 of its recruits lived and worked in its network of communal houses. In 1976, when Jackie Charlie Farrell was 11, her family moved into the Jesus Army headquarters at New Creation Hall in Bugbrook near Northampton. She is among some 160 people to have so far put in compensation claims under the redress scheme which is being run by the JFCT. "I want others to acknowledge that the experience I had was horrendous," said Ms. Charlie Farrell, who has waived her right to anonymity. "Overnight, I felt like I lost my childhood. There were no toys, balls, bikes, or TV and radio. Even reading was frowned upon. Women had to show deference to men, and we used to have excruciating weekly sessions of confessing our faults to one another. See this video."
Lord, we surrender our voices to you, and then surrender the middle part of you, especially the genitals. Give them to Jesus. Many of us here will have to accept that an awful power of sin lurked there. But now we give our genitals to Jesus.
A school district in the US state of Utah has removed the Bible from elementary and middle schools for containing vulgarity and violence. The move follows a complaint from a parent that the King James Bible has material unsuitable for children. Utah's Republican government passed a law in 2022 banning pornographic or indecent books from schools. Most of the books that have been banned so far pertain to topics such as sexual orientation and identity. The banning of the Bible comes amid a larger effort by US conservatives in states to ban teachings on controversial topics such as LGBT rights and racial identity. Bans on certain books deemed offensive are in place in Texas, Florida, Missouri, and South Carolina. Some liberal states have also banned books in some schools and libraries, citing perceived racially offensive content. The Utah decision made this week by the Davis School District north of Salt Lake City after a complaint filed in December 2022 said the officials say they've already removed the 7 or 8 copies of the Bible they had on their shelves, noting that the text was never part of the students' curriculum. One parent in the Davis School District decided to demand the removal of the Bible, claiming it to be one of the most sex-ridden books around. The district decided that while the Bible did not violate the Utah law, it was not suitable for younger students. The committee did not elaborate on its reasoning or which passages contained vulgarity or violence. According to the Salt Lake Tribune newspaper, the parent who complained said the King James Bible has no serious values for minors because it's pornographic by our new definition, referring to the 2022 book ban law. The district's not the first to remove the Bible from its shelf, and it won't be the last. In fact, see this video and listen to the next item.
Mary Ellen has become a crusader of sorts in the suburban town of Katy, Texas. She's had success removing books that she believes contain inappropriate content for minors.
They listened to me and why I thought it should be removed, and the decision was to remove it from the libraries.
But not everyone is on board.
Censorship is not the legacy to create.
These banned books are important. They inspire people to do great things, and they inspire people to see themselves in these characters.
In the United States, it's the one area of debate left around government censorship. We don't have discussions around what adults can read. The debate is around what young people can access.
This is how that debate is playing out.
All kinds of people are degraded in this book.
I met up with Mary Ellen just hours before she'd speak at yet another school board meeting. She brought some books along.
Talks about in 4th grade at a church youth group, out in the bushes behind the parsonage. I touched Doug Goebel's and he touched mine. In fact, there were even some mouths involved. And it's talked throughout the book, that scene. Let me tell you, nobody gives about you. Nobody think about you. You ain't got no friends. You ain't got nobody who gives about you. Okay, the boy was pressuring the young girl, asking her about her virginity. My boyfriend really wants to do a boy with his pants down. You can see visually here. All of these books include teenagers and young people, that they are being exploited. My own children, they know the work I'm doing, and they know that their mother is always here advocating for their welfare. So there's not a question of whether I have good intentions for them or not.
Mary Ellen has 2 teenagers in the school district, but she had never really given much thought to the books they had access to in school until last fall. That's when she stumbled upon a Republican's campaign for governor of Virginia.
In Fairfax County this past week, we watched parents so upset because there was such sexually explicit material in the library they had never seen. It was shocking. I believe parents should be in charge of their kids' education. Mr. McCall, 30 seconds.
Efforts to rid school libraries of certain books are rising at a pace not seen in years. And it's happening at all levels of government, from school board meetings to state houses, possibly impacting tens of thousands of students.
There's almost a deliberate attempt to make it a partisan issue.
In the fall of 2021, a Texas lawmaker compiled a list of more than 800 books he said he was targeting because they could make students feel discomfort, guilt, anguish, or other psychological distress. Among the books in his list are some on the Black Lives Matter movement, explorations on racism and the LGBTQ community, and even this one, on the coming-of-age right of young Latinas.
You could describe it as an effort to restore a status quo that may never have existed around race and sexual identity. Book challenges have always reflected larger conversations we've had in the United States around issues like education, race, sex, this is an area of the culture wars that naturally lends itself to polarization.
Here in Katy, a town that barely leans liberal, what started as Mary Ellen's fight against sexual content has become a battle about censorship.
The
I
flying
heard
away.
The Sun is also a Star. That's a great book.
Yeah, so a lot of these books are in KDIC libraries, but not accessible in every single high school, so only a couple.
That's why this group of students has been organizing against any kind of book removals.
On Friday, a complaint was submitted about the signature scripture of the predominant faith in Utah, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, widely known as the Mormon Church. District spokesperson Chris Williams confirmed that someone filed a review request for the Book of Mormon, but would not say what reasons were listed. Citing a school board privacy policy, he also would not say whether it was from the same person who complained about the Bible. The school district said it would assess the Book of Mormon for all elements of the definitions of pornographic or indecent materials as defined under a Utah law concerning sensitive materials. The Book of Mormon could be banished next. Representatives from the church declined to comment on the challenge. The world's largest ever gathering of Satanists is about to begin at a Marriott hotel in downtown Boston. In a candle-lit room set aside for satanic ceremonies, a neon sign welcomes you to the Little Black Chapel. A raised altar stands at one end, a white pentagram on the floor in front of it. The ritual being performed here is an unbaptism, in which participants symbolically reject religious rites performed when they were children. No names, says a Satanist who agreed to let me witness their ceremony, that's the reporter, as long as they aren't identified. They wear a floor-length hooded cloak and a black face mask. Their hands are bound with rope, which is then cast off to represent liberation. Pages are torn out of a Bible to symbolize overturning their Christian baptism. It's clear the experience was powerful for them. As a gay child, being told you are an abomination and should be destroyed warped a lot of my thinking. Finding the Satanic Temple has really helped me to embrace logic and empathy. The Satanic Temple, that's a quote, the Satanic Temple is recognized as a religion by the US government and has ministers and congregations in America, Europe, and Australia. More than 830 people snapped up tickets for its late April convention, dubbed SatanCon. Members say they don't actually believe in a literal Lucifer or hell. Instead, they say Satan is a metaphor for questioning authority and grounding their beliefs in science. The sense of community around these shared values makes it a religion, they say. They do use the symbols of Satan for rituals. For example, when celebrating a wedding or adopting a new name, that might include having an upside-down neon cross on your altar while shouting, "Hail Satan!" Evangelical Christian leader Pat Robertson, who ran for president as a Republican, has died at the age of 93. He was one of the driving forces of a movement to increase the influence of the religious right in US politics. He founded the Christian Broadcasting Network, CBN, in 1960 and helped grow it into a cable media empire. For decades, Robertson hosted a CBN talk show called The 700 Club that combined religious news and political commentary with light entertainment. CBN announced the news of his death on Thursday. No cause was given. Robertson also founded the Christian Coalition, the organization that grew to be a pivotal player in Republican politics starting in the 1980s. It provided endorsements and financial and organisational support to candidates who echoed their views on hot-button social issues like abortion, religious liberty, and traditional values. In a school play in Saudi Arabia, children are being encouraged to challenge traditional norms related to the hijab and abaya. The girls can be seen removing their abayas as they walk towards a light, symbolizing female empowerment and modernity. See this video. Atheism UK and the Origins Project staged an event in London in which Richard Dawkins was awarded the Top Atheist trophy. Videos of this will be published on the Atheism UK YouTube channel in due course. This evening's Free Thought Hour will feature myself. I will be reporting to Tercia about a debate with a Christian that I took part in at Bishop Stortford College back in March. I have a family event tomorrow. It's my birthday, so we're all going to the theatre. Views on the News will be back next week. This has been Global Atheist News. Thank you for watching.